Thank you. Yes, I see it on the screen. Now we have one request to move the SVT meeting from 7 until 8. So we'll go ahead and do that. And what we can do is look at our administrator's report. So Mary, you're on first.
All right. So being on first, I did not do a report yet, but I have keys that work now and the fob works. And I figured out how to get into Office. And so that's what I've been doing. And I guess we can look at the activities log. I can share the screen for that.
Okay.
And I've been trying to learn how to deal with the deposits and all that stuff.
Okay.
That has been, and I've been trying to get myself acclimated in the Office and figuring out where things are.
Okay. That's quite a job in itself.
But did you find the stuffed beaver?
No, I haven't found the beaver yet.
Well, then you have not spent enough time in the Office.
I wonder if Dave took it.
Oh, maybe he did.
Well, there's a lot of stuff kind of hiding in corners that I haven't dug into.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you'll be finding stuff. Might be some bodies back there somewhere too. Stuffed into a file cabinet.
There's a pair of glasses, actually. I don't know whose they are. Maybe I should ask Dave. But...
Did you say glasses?
Glasses, like, it looks like reading glasses.
Yeah, it would be.
They're probably yours, Mike.
I leave them everywhere. I think I'm going to be. So,
yep.
Yeah.
Everywhere around the world.
25 pair of them, and they're like scattered throughout Upton. Oh. You need that.
Okay, so can we go to the administrative report? We had a bill to pay for the gatehouse media, and we also had a bill to pay for the water for the community garden. And as far as the gatehouse media, that is also down underneath new items, so I'll wait for that one. And financial updates. I have not heard from Ken Costa yet with their balances yet, although he hasn't asked for that more than once. How about website update?
This is Alan. Yep, nothing new to report on the website, but I will take some 10 seconds to give another commercial. That I saw the traffic on the meeting packet and the size of it. And I think we really need to put these things as a simple link on the Google Drive, and it just makes it a lot easier than clogging up everyone's email, especially for people like me who do all their work on a mobile phone. It just makes things a lot simpler, but I think it'll be simpler for everyone also. And then we have an easy way to go and get all those meeting packets. It's easy to find them anytime we need to. I know they're already indexed on the Google Drive, but we just need to get the link for that. And if anyone needs a hint on how to do that, I'd be happy to help.
Alan, you mentioned going to Teams a couple of times. What do you think about that? Still, maybe a good idea, or?
Yeah, I think it works great. I mean, Teams works great on a mobile device. Obviously, that's what I'm using right now. So I think that works nice, especially good for team chat. And again, I assume the town has a SharePoint, so we could put our files in a SharePoint. But even before we go to Teams, I think the just doing a link, putting the meeting packet on the Google Drive and just providing a link is the fastest and cheapest, and requires no additional effort really. The Teams probably would need to be structured a little bit with the town. Of course, we can do it with free accounts, but it's probably a little bit better to do it via the town and have town support. But I think that gives you a lot of advantages with sending messages back and forth to each other. It's like sending, text messages that we can point to files, we can add photos. It's just a little bit more modern and slick way of communicating. Although, I understand if people don't want to put Teams on their computer or mobile device, certainly understand that. So that's fine there. But certainly the first step should be we simply use a link to send these meeting packets out. And in fact, to send any document out, I don't see in modern corporate America, very few people will send documents out. You just send links to where these things are, and then they always are there instead of clogging up people's email.
We probably would need some education about how to do that, because I don't know how to do that at all.
Well, if it's just
Hey, I have a suggestion, Alan, for the documents that are part of the hearings. If we just put those on the website under like an agenda with links, then that would be so the public can see and the commissioners can see, and that would be all set there. And that would make, you still probably have some stuff that you'd want in a packet that's not for the public, but certainly on a link would be fine. Yep.
Yeah, that goes good. But even the meeting packet is, you basically do everything you do now. And Dave was doing this a few times. You do everything you do now, but what you do is instead of sending the file as an attachment, you simply send a link to the file, and that works quite well on the Google Drive, which we already have, and it's already sort of indexed by week and month that Dave was doing. So those are some things, and certainly for the public, we want the public to be able to access all those hearing documents, and those would be all on the town website, of course. But sometimes there are, many more files that are part of the hearing that we don't necessarily need to send out in the meeting packets, but are part of the hearing application, if you will. So, but either way, as long as we have a strategy, I'm okay, and I'll be happy to provide any input either way. Of course, creating the link in Google Drive is extremely simple. It's just a matter of essentially right-clicking on the file and saying, copy link. So that's pretty simple. But yeah, whatever strategy we choose, I'm happy to help out any way we can.
Okay, thank you, Ellen.
Yeah. I like having I'm fine with these ideas, but I also would like to have a fairly complete packet for each meeting, because that's a record of our meeting. Theoretically, your minutes should include a list of all the documents that were discussed in a meeting, and the packet just kind of does that automatically. So you can go back and, what was discussed, 3 months ago at the meeting. But I also like the idea of sharing it differently, like through Google Drive, and then having a way for the public to see it too. So it might be a packet, and then the public, hearing-related files could be on the website as well. Some hybrid like that.
Yeah, that's exactly what I do for the Board of Trustees that I sit on. I have a packet, sort of like we have, and then the meeting minutes reference the packet if there's anything that's there. But I do think, I agree with you, Mike, it's important to have sort of all the documents that were discussed and reviewed in the meeting as part of the record and part of that meeting packet. I think that works well. And that's typical of many Board of Trustees as well as, of course, town boards. So I agree with you there.
Okay, anything else about the packet or putting things on Google? Okay, now is Bill here for open space?
He just walked in the door, so
okay.
A couple of minutes to.
Okay. How about land stewardship?
Nothing much going on with us.
Okay. How about if we go to new items? Now, our special town meeting warrant item closes on the 6th of September. So do we have anything to put on there? And they did give us money the last meeting for the conservation fund. So do we have anything else to add? Okay, hearing none. Mary, do we have to give you any, are there any supplies you need?
Yes, there probably will be some supplies. I noticed we're kind of running out of a few things like folders, and I think I started a list. I don't remember everything. I need to order a vest, I think, for myself.
Okay. Perfect. Well, if we order a vest, then give us the receipt and we will reimburse you for that.
Okay.
And I know for supplies for the office, Denise will go through WB Mason. So I don't know how she gets that. But she's probably the best one to ask about that.
Yes, I did talk to her and Trish. Both of them have accounts, so I can just set up my own. I'll figure that out.
Okay, thank you. And now we have the Pavilion project update. Now, what I have for the update there is the selectmen at their last meeting were not overly supportive of that project. So it's still on the list of things. Mike, do you have anything else for the Pavilion project?
Not really, no, not at this time.
Okay, and
Well, it's one thing. Brett was at the Sweet William Farm meeting, and I did mention to him that, any statements that conservation open space were in support of that pavilion were inaccurate. I told him we really didn't have a position on it.
Right.
At this time.
Because I know at one of the meetings that was held, the Pavilion supporters had mentioned that conservation and open space were both in favor of it. And that's not quite true. And Bill, you're up next for the open space.
From an open space perspective, we have the phase 1 site assessment report, which shows that there's no known hazardous materials on the property. And I understood from the surveyor that the Burnson monuments were due in this week. So I expect them to finish up in the next couple of weeks. And we've tentatively scheduled a closing for September 28th.
Excellent. Okay, so if we go back to new items, we're at staff changes, and I know that Joe had mentioned that they were still looking to hire a secretarial staff this week. They were still doing interviews. And how about the Robertson's Bridge project, Mike?
No activity there.
Okay. How about William Street APR?
I believe the selectmen voted to waive the 120-day notice period. I think that was the only action that was pending at this point.
Okay, and I know they had mentioned the Lindquist Maloney land on William Street also. Is that a different property?
Nope, that's the same property.
Oh, okay. And signature pages with Denise, we desperately need people to stop by there to sign the pages, because at last account, Mike and I were the only people that signed it. So
I'll go tomorrow, Chris.
I'd like to add something to that, Chris.
Okay.
Yeah, so one signature page that needs to be signed is the Conservation Commission accepting the Mechanic Street property, which will be attached to the deed. Marcella did get several signatures for that at the Sweet William or Five Fork Farm site visit. I will deliver that to Town Hall so Dave can come in and sign it then as well. We do need to vote at tonight's meeting to accept that property formally and sign it. Right?
Okay, so we will go back to that in a minute, because at 7:15 we have our first hearing, which was the request for determination for 22 East Street. So I'll read the public notice. So notice is hereby given in accordance with the Wetlands Protection Act and the Town of Upton Wetlands Protection Bylaw that the Upton Conservation Commission will hold the following public hearings on Wednesday, August 24th, 2022. 7:15 p.m. Request for determination of applicability filed by New Generation Custom Home Corporation, Marcelo Alves, to determine whether the work is subject to the Wetlands Protection Act and the Town of Upton Wetlands Protection Bylaw on a lot located at 22 East Street, map 13, parcel 16.02. Now, is Marcelo here or his okay, so Mary, what do you have?
I'm just trying to share the screen here. Can you guys see
Yes.
the plans?
Yep, we can see that.
Yep.
Yeah, I talked to, I think it was David Crossman on Monday, and I think he's the engineer on this plan. But Dave Pickhart was supposed to be reviewing this. I haven't heard from Dave since he's been away on vacation, and so I didn't take a look at these. So I don't know if Dave Crossman is planning on being here tonight for the hearing or not.
Dave and I visited the site. I visited several times. And Dave visited it once. We visited with Dave Crossman. There's actually two lots. I'm not sure. This one.
This is 22.
This lot 3 or 2.
This is lot 3.
This is 3. Yeah. So here's the thing. It's a little bit of an interesting situation. Lot 3 was cleared, but not grubbed. I believe it's not. Wait a minute. I get them confused. Shoot. What's in the way here?
You want me to look at the aerial?
Yeah, I get them confused. Before we go on, I think it's lot 2 was cleared. So this hearing is for which one right now?
22 East Street.
Yeah, but which lot? Or are we doing both together?
No, they're separate.
Okay. We need to know which lot it is. I believe
lot 3 is 22. Lot 3 is 22. Yeah.
You know, they're both called 22, aren't they? Or does
No,
the other one's 24.
One's 24.
Oh, all right. So right, okay, that helps. So 22, I don't think there's any issues on the lot. It was cleared and grubbed. The question is, what's going on the other lot? The other lot was also cleared but not grubbed, and the vegetation in the cleared areas is very hydrophytic. Now, Crossman's wetland delineation forms for that site are a little bit screwy. We can talk about that, but his soil analysis indicates that the soils are upland soils, but the vegetation is quite hydric. It's mostly dominated by herbaceous species that are either obligate or fac wet. Dave and I were there. Dave was going to write up a report. I don't know if he did or not. We looked at the soils a little bit, and we suggested that the applicant pay closer attention to the soils. They did. They dug some soil pits, and their conclusion is that they're not hydric soils. So we can either accept their conclusion, or we can do a little bit more work ourselves. One option would be to hire someone like Ecotech to take a good hard look at the soils there. Now, Mary, could you move the notes? Thanks.
You're seeing my notes too.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, they were covering up the half of the part of the plan, but it's possible that the wetland buffer zone on Lot 2 could extend well into Lot 3 if those wetlands exist. So that's why I didn't sign off on the building permit for Lot 3, because of the situation on Lot 2, nothing to do with Lot 3. Does that make sense somewhat, a little bit?
Kind of.
So Lot 2, their buffer zone would extend into Lot 3?
If there were wetlands on Lot 2, yes,
okay.
That's correct. Now, this is the plan for Lot 3, right?
This is the Lot 2 plan.
Which one is this? 22 East Street or
so
20?
This should be 24.
Oh, all right.
This is the one that, does this help? This is the one that has the soil pits and the...
Yeah, okay, yeah. So that's 24. Anyway, I thought Dave, maybe when Dave did some augering, I thought maybe he saw some models kind of close to the surface, but you could let it go, but the vegetation is entirely hydric. The soils don't seem to be, if you believe their soil analysis.
So do we want to hire Ecotech?
What's the cost?
I don't have an estimate, but probably several hours of their work, of their time.
You can make the applicant pay for it.
The applicant's not on at all, are they?
No.
I am here.
Oh, good.
Oh,
okay.
Good.
I can't get the audio part to work, but so I had to call in.
Okay.
Who is that? Is that Crossman?
This is Dave Crossman. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Dave. So this is Mike Penko. I did look through your submittal. Looks like you spent more time looking at soils. I'm not sure if the commission should maybe have someone verify the soil analysis, given the situation of the vegetation. And the other thing, just so you know, the data sheet that includes both wet meadow and the forested edge, that's just, we can accept that data sheet, but that shouldn't be done that way. You're not supposed to include more than one community type in a wetland data sheet. And you've got the wet meadows right adjacent to basically the tree line that's been left there. So the tree line should not have been in your in your delineation for that wet meadow area. So, but it doesn't really matter much because the wet meadow vegetation is wet. It's just not something that you're supposed to do. Do you understand what I mean?
Yep. Well, that's why we only went with the soil pits as a more accurate, not delineation, but a more accurate
how do you explain
view of what was going on there.
How do you explain that the vegetation isn't almost entirely wet, or strongly dominated by wet species, yet the soils, according to your analysis, don't show any hydric features?
Well, I'm speculating here, but when we had that record spring rainfall last year, and then all the summer was rain, We didn't hit this dry spell until towards the end of this spring. So I'm thinking the ruts that were created by the skidder when they drove through there pocketed and held some water, and the initial species that came in there are in the herbaceous layer are all wet. I would like to think that if we were in this type of weather pattern when it was cut being so dry, that we'd be looking at all upland weeds out there.
This is like the driest summer we've had that I can remember. And there were healthy cattails growing, not many, but a few healthy cattails growing in that area that weren't wilting or anything. So, and also, you mentioned the ruts. I mean, this is not a hydric indicator, but if you look at near map imagery of when this site was cleared, the whole thing is just full of ruts. So the ruts mean to me that the soil was pretty damn wet at the time that the land was cleared. I mean, that's why there are ruts, because the soil was wet and susceptible to rutting. But it's just a sea of ruts if you look at the imagery.
Well, they also did the soil testing for the septic systems in that same area, and they found evidence of groundwater at 30 inches, which is fairly consistent to what we were seeing in the soils ourselves. So
your soil pit information doesn't go to 30 inches.
Well, we go down 20. Even in the top 20 inches, we're not looking at a lot of hydric indicators, if any.
So does the commission want to hire someone to assess the wetlands, like Ecotech?
That would clarify things.
I think where this is
I agree also.
Where this is a questionable site, that would probably be a good thing to do. So for the commission, let's do a voice vote to hire Ecotech to look at lot 2 and 3.
Are we asking the applicant to pay for that, or is that coming out of conservation funds?
The applicant would pay for that.
Well, if I can interject here, we're not willing to pay for lot 3 because there's nothing considered to be wetland on lot 3, which is 22 East Street.
I would support that. Lot 3 the soils have been essentially grubbed and to some extent stockpiled on that site. So the only lot where there is an issue or potential issue is lot 2, which is 24.
Okay, let's do a voice vote from the commission. Chris, aye.
Tom, aye.
Alan, aye.
David, aye.
Marcella, aye.
Mike, aye.
Excellent. So that was a unanimous vote of the commissioners present to do a hiring of Ecotech at the applicant's expense to look at the wetlands for lot 2. And I actually have to, so then we'll have to continue. So is lot number 3 one that we will close tonight?
Well, Chris, I would like to do that, but the issue is, just so everyone knows, if there is, say, an isolated wetland on lot 2, the buffer zone of that wetland could extend into lot 3.
Okay.
So
we'll continue.
The commission might want to consider just continuing them both until we get an Ecotech report. It's perfectly, maybe completely right that Ecotech's going to find that, non-hydric soils and But and that would allow both lots to, be given negative determinations.
So we'll continue both of them until the next meeting, which is September 14th. And let's just do number for 22 lot, which is lot 3, because we haven't opened lot 2 yet. So how about if we continue this one until 7 p.m. on the 14th of September. So that's for RDA for 22. Okay. Now, the next one we have is the paper had it listed at 7:35, and our agenda had it listed at 7:30. So let's do the 7:35 one. Okay, so this one is a request for determination of applicability filed by New Generations Custom Homes Corporation, Marcelo Alves, to determine whether the work is subject to the Wetlands Protection Act and the Town of Upton Wetlands Protection Bylaw on a lot located at 24 East Street, map 13, parcel 16.01. All interested parties are invited to attend. Copies of the application are available at the conservation website. So if we're looking at the next one, which was the RDA for 24 East Street, which is lot 2, is that the one that we think should be reviewed?
Yes, I think that was the one.
Okay.
Sorry, I was on mute. Yes, I agree.
Okay. Now, would we be contacting Ecotech, or would the applicant be contacting them?
I would suggest Mary contact them. Since we're hiring them, not the applicant.
Okay. And then we would need to continue this one until, how about 7:15 on the 14th of September. Hopefully we would have the report from Ecotech back by then.
All right.
And the one thing that I need to mention is we need to collect the fee for writing the ad in the paper. And right now the ad price is $90. So you have 2 ads, so that would be $180. So that can go to a truck to the Town of Upton. And then
when I did file, I did leave a check for $180 for the newspaper ads.
Okay. Thank you. So you're all set then. So Mary, can you track down that check?
I will look for that. Yep.
Okay, perfect. Okay, any other comments? So we're continuing this hearing until the 14th of September at 7:15. And we're hoping that Ecotech will have their report by then.
Hopefully.
I know, we're hoping. So, thank you, David. Yep. Okay, so all set. Well, thank you.
All right, and if you need anything from us, Mary can just call me directly. All my contact information is in the RDA, and I'll make sure whatever you need gets to you right away.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. We appreciate that.
Yep. All right.
Okay, have a good night.
On the 14th.
Okay, that sounds good. Okay, so back to our new items. We had the DPW, South Street. So
is that what I was telling you about earlier?
yes, yes,
okay.
That's
all right. So at 135 South Street, there's a culvert that goes under the road, and I guess in the winter it ices over and gets water toward the house at 135. John Johnson is recommending that he make a swale. It was going to have to be pretty long. I didn't measure it, but maybe 100 feet long, 1 foot deep, 2 foot wide. I think it is, but there does seem to be a wetland where the culvert, goes under the road. And I assume there must be a filing for 135 because there's bounds on both sides of the front lawn. I looked briefly for it for 15 minutes, couldn't find it. And that's as far as I got on that one. He's hoping to do the work in the fall. He thinks it'll be a one-day job, and he's willing to seed the swale, but I think we'd want to think about erosion controls and or whatever. Certainly. Maybe talk, the homeowner, I believe, is on the call. Although I think we told him after 8.
Yeah, we're here. Hi.
Okay. Maybe you want to explain the drainage problems more to the commission, because I didn't get all that earlier today.
Yeah, sure. So as you said, there's a pipe that comes under the road onto the corner of our property that drains into the corner. It's not very sloped at that point in our property, so it tends to pool there. And we've had some instances where we've gotten enough water in that area that generally, so let me back up. Generally, it drains through a pipe that runs under our septic and into the back part of our property. When we get too much water, there's not enough of a slope so that it starts overrunning the area that drains through the pipe and comes towards our house. Last winter was probably the worst that we had seen it, because we had days that it froze and thawed and froze and thawed, and we got rain mixed in with it, and it the water made its way all the way to the foundation of our house and was freezing against the foundation of our house.
Now, do you know, by chance, was there a filing for your property in the past?
I'm not aware of one.
Mike, do you remember this one?
It's on the corner of Goss Pond and South Street, and there are about 5 wetland bounds on either, 2 on either side of the, 3 on one side and 2 on the other side of the lawn.
Sounds familiar, but is it the lot with the pond? Is there a pond on the lot?
No, we don't have a pond on the property.
Okay.
So it's a cape. It's a little cape. If you're coming down South Street on the right before the Goss Pond road, whatever that road is that goes into Goss Pond.
This is Bill. Now I remember the filing was not associated. That lot didn't exist when the filing was done. The filing was done as part of a Goss Pond lot.
Okay.
And in fact, I may even have the relevant deeds and plans sitting on my desk somewhere, and can probably find the file number from that.
Okay.
Or at least know where to look on the registry of deeds. But yes, I do remember now that all that was permitted as part of a Goss, or whatever that is, a Goss Pond Road.
Yeah.
As part of a Goss Pond Road project.
So
and that shows the town's easement, by the way.
Okay.
So if there was a filing before, would we have to amend it?
I guess it depends on if it could go under the DPW general filing or not.
Right. Right, because the DPW has an existing filing for roads and culverts.
And then if it's that old, it would probably have to be a new filing if we wanted a separate filing, because the Goss Pond is presumably closed out and so old that it's expired.
So what are the thoughts from the commission? Because if the DPW wants to address this in the fall, we have plenty of time to research this and possibly do a new filing for it.
I guess my question for the homeowner is all of this on your property or is some of this town property?
This is all on our property, is my understanding, yes.
There's an easement at the corner.
Okay.
So would that be the homeowner filing for this?
Probably.
No,
we
would be
needed
the
a filing.
would be the town maintaining its basically its drainage easement.
Yeah.
What is the address on South Street again? I'm looking through our database.
135.
What was it?
135. I couldn't find it in the database, Mike.
Okay.
So.
Well, that again, it was done on a Goss Pond address.
Okay.
They did. It was done as part of a different parcel, and they subdivided it later.
Okay.
And created that lot on South Street.
So with that said, Bill, would this be part of the DPW?
Well, it's definitely the DPW maintaining a drainage easement. So if that was what is contemplated under the town-wide NOI, then I personally would say yes.
So that would not require the homeowner to do a filing?
No, it's definitely the town maintaining a town-owned drainage easement.
Okay.
Or however that needs to be phrased.
Okay. So with that said, do we need to hear more about the erosion control for that project from the DPW?
Yeah, I didn't actually talk with him about erosion controls, but I'm sure they would be willing to put them in.
Okay. So do we need to have this a separate hearing or discussion? Or Mary?
I don't know if you want John to draw. I mean, he showed me what he was going to do. Do you want him to sketch out something a little bit more formal on like a plot plan? Or are you okay with him, the verbal description of 2 feet wide, 1 foot deep, and he kind of showed me where it was going to go. It's not going to hit any trees. It is probably within wetland, but it will solve the drainage problem.
What do people think? Should we let Mary deal with this with the DPW?
Sure.
Let's do a voice vote. Chris, aye.
Tom, aye.
Alan, aye.
David, aye.
Mike, aye.
Excellent.
Was that everybody aye, or was Alan no?
No, everyone's an aye. All
aye.
the members present. So Mary, that would be for you. Deal with the DPW for this one.
Okay.
Thank you. And for our new business, our price of ads have gone up. So right now they're $104 and some cents. So can we raise that to $110 for future filings?
I move that we raise it to 110 to paper advertising.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Let's do a voice vote. Chris, aye.
Tom, aye.
Alan, aye.
David, aye.
Mike, aye.
Marcella, aye.
Okay, it's a unanimous vote of the members present. So right now we're eating the difference with existing filings. And what we have is, do we have any other ongoing items to discuss?
I think there might be some, Chris, but is Five Fork Farms up now? 7:45.
Yes, right now, yes.
Okay, we can.
So, Five
discuss
Forks
later.
Farm. Yep, let's go to Five Forks Farm. No, Mike, who's going to present for them? Oh,
I think-
Grace
I
is
think
here.
Grace is
He's
on.
muted.
Grace is
Oh,
on.
hi. Sorry about that. I'm here. Do you want me to present something, or do we want to go over what happened on Monday, or what exactly would you like me to speak on?
We have probably. Oh, go ahead, Marcella.
Oh, it's pretty much spelled out in the minutes. I don't know if everyone got a chance to read that. We haven't approved them yet, but Mike took good notes. So, I don't know if everyone's had a chance to see that, though.
No. So, Grace, do you want to start? Oh.
Can you see it?
Yes.
Yeah. Excellent.
I have a suggestion, because with the parking where it is, that's probably within 100 feet of the pond. So I'm wondering if we have the one below that has the two lines of spots, can that all be pushed to the left-hand side? So then it might be not in the 100-foot zone. Because if it's within 100 foot of the pond, you'd have to file with conservation.
So currently, right now, that first line, I believe, is already has asphalt on it. That's where the existing greenhouse is.
Oh.
So it wouldn't be making new surface. It would just be using the existing. This is in both option A and B. I would say option B, if we did the double line, I think these are approximate dimensions right now. We would be extending approximately 110 feet away from the barn to the west, the existing barn structure to the west.
Okay.
Versus option A is about half of that.
Now, Grace, just to give some people some sense of scale, the barn is 90 some feet long.
98.
98. So it's like almost a perfect scale bar right there.
Right. It's not perfectly to scale, but I tried as best as possible. But I know it's definitely not exact.
I thought, Grace, this is Tom Django. I thought when we left the meeting Monday, what we were supposed to discuss here a little bit, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, was some of the members weren't at that meeting, and you just wanted to talk a little bit. And I think the concern was more about parking. My understanding was most of what we saw, I think we agreed with as far as the earth moving. So if what I said is correct, I think we should just discuss basically option A or B on the parking.
Yeah, I agree, Tom. I think exactly what you said. I think unless someone who was there has any different thoughts about this, I think the soil improvement grading plan, I think that's something that the commission could support. I think it's consistent with the conservation restriction. I also don't think SVT is Kristen on SVT.
I am. Hi, can you hear me?
Maybe you can provide SVT's opinion of the grading soil improvement plan.
Yeah,
maybe we can put that. Maybe we can put that one to bed and then talk about the parking.
Yeah, so I mean, NRCS designed the plan that they're following best soil management practices. All the work is to improve basically the agricultural uses. So SBT is in full support of the grading plans. I really don't have any issues with the work that they're doing. And they obviously have full support of NRCS. There's four NRCS staff there on Monday. So I think that it's a good plan.
Yeah, I mean, I would make a motion that the commission supports the west side of Five Forks Farm grading plan, soil improvement plan prepared by NRCS.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Let's do a voice vote. Chris, I will abstain because I wasn't at the site visit.
Tom, aye.
Alan, aye.
Mike, aye.
Marcella, aye.
I'll also abstain since I didn't see the project as well. This is David.
Okay, so we have a majority of the commission present.
Yeah. The only thing I would add, Grace, is that we might ask you, depending where the limit of work is.
A lot of the refuse and sort of the unwanted stuff that comes from the West Side leveling project could also be used for creating the farm roads and parking situation.
Well, we'll try to get an answer real quick about the egg exemption for any work near that stream.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen anytime in the next month. If that is,
but we'll still try to answer right away.
Okay, that would be great.
And Grace, would you need a letter from us about the parking area?
Yeah, I think if we move forward, or if I get some guidance on what else is needed, I think we're gonna go to the planning board is next, sort of measure the pervious surface. To Kristen and SVT wanted discussion on the addition to the pervious surface, plus going to the stewardship committee, SVT stewardship committee, because the parking is something that the stewardship committee has to vote on as well. So that meeting, Kristen, I think it was September 19th. So I would assume, with that being said, we're not looking, approval wouldn't be granted until the end of end of September anyways, at the earliest.
Okay, so we'll get you a letter about the parking lot, and then we'll research some of the information for you, and we should probably put you on our next meeting for 7:25 to discuss whatever we found.
All right.
Wait
Is
a minute.
there a preferential option that we should just be focusing on right now, option A or B, or should we go forward with?
Well, we haven't really discussed that. I'm a little confused. I think we're jumping the gun. Do we need to discuss which option would be best and share that with the rest of the committee?
Yes, I believe you're right, Marcel. We haven't discussed it. It does have to be discussed. I do have an opinion on what I would prefer, and I'm sure others probably have one too. But that is what I thought that's what this meeting was about, was more or less what direction we should be going as far as parking goes.
Mary, could you scroll up and show the other option as well?
Yep.
Please, thank you. Well, that's the other option.
So personally, I'm more in favor of this option than the one with the double parking, but that's just my opinion.
That would be my thought as well. And I also we talked some about what happens with overflow, like if there's a special, if it's a Mother's Day thing where there's a lot more traffic there, that there could be some parking on the grass temporarily, which would actually be allowed. They're allowed to have 6 special events at which 200 people can attend, and I think that would fall under that category. So any overflow parking for special shopping opportunities could be accommodated as well.
I would also prefer this alternative. At least half of the parking spaces is somewhat obscured by the barn, the view from the road. So I would, I think previously I had expressed some concerns about parking on this side, but after hearing all the arguments and understanding more what Pfeiffer Farms wants to do, I could support this, and I think we could make an argument to the public if we needed to that this is within the 4 corners of the Conservation Commission, and it's beneficial to everyone concerned, the town and Life Works Farm.
Yeah. One other question I have, this would be, you would have to move the greenhouse to do this. Do you have any idea where that would go?
There will eventually be a greenhouse as part of the retail improvements. It's one of those things where we were thinking of tucking it in closer to the Woodside anyways. It wouldn't go, it would probably go on the Woodside somewhere in a east-west orientation.
Yeah, I just wouldn't want it to affect the view shed, which if it's over there, it should be all right.
Yeah, the plans that were drawn up actually show an exclosure where structures can be permitted, and where Grace is talking about putting the greenhouses within that envelope, I think would be the right word, probably, within that envelope.
Yeah, this is Kristen. I think the longer parking lot option would be preferable over the double. Sorry, I had issues logging in, so I can't see, what's being shared. But I'm leaning towards that as well for all the reasons that Mike said.
So do we need to take a vote?
This is it. So you can see that envelope. It's Mary's got the cursor on it right now.
This area here.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Okay. The only other thing I want to ask Grace is, have you thought at all about putting a second driveway entrance on North Street so you could have one-way traffic? Here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking people could enter the existing driveway and leave by a new driveway. I don't know if it would work grade-wise, but I think it's possible that a second exit driveway, it might be a better location to exit the property based on sight lines, and also you wouldn't have that grade right before, or that slope, to deal with it right before you pull onto North Street.
Yeah, I did think about it. We did think about it. So we have 2 options there. Either we hug where existing Pamela Lane was. So in that we sort of cut that curve cut sort of right at the corner of the lot between us and our neighbors to the north.
Yeah.
Or it's going to go on the other side of the barn, the south side of the barn up that way. So those are 2 other options that was posed. for the sake of the drawings and being the least changing of the existing, that's why I just proposed widening the existing drive to accommodate two-way flow. Ideally, yes, there would be one exit and one entrance separated. I just didn't know if that was something that would be amenable.
I personally, in terms of the CR, that would be amenable to me. I'm not sure about others in SVT, but the other thing is, if you do have to go through any kind of planning board site plan review, I think having an entrance and an exit would probably be beneficial. You know, not to speak for the planning board, but anyway.
I would also recommend that hiring an engineer to design it so that you don't have weird slopes. I mean, when we were pulling out of the from the greenhouse, it's a little steep. The sight lines are funky. An engineered plan might be able to address some of that.
Indeed, yeah. I just, in one way, I don't know how, and that's just not me. Yeah, for sure, an engineer will tell us, but the slope is the slope. If there is a way to change it, that'd be great. I think on the idea of an exit on another side, that slope on either side of the barn is pretty tough. Either way, without disturbing too much. But yes, the plan was, after we figured out an option to go to get engineering done, to tell us exactly how to do it, so that Jim has something to follow when they go to make it.
I'm sure the planning board would appreciate that too. So good.
Yeah, so Mike, to answer your question, I guess it was, I think our first choice is to have two separate an entrance and an exit. It's just whether or not that falls within do something that's doable or can be approved, I guess.
It might be something that police and fire would require. So I don't know if you brought that to them yet.
Not yet. That was our next steps, is to, once we figure it out, I want to see if we could agree on one option to proceed with, to present to them too.
So we should probably vote on the parking, what option that we prefer.
So is it option A or option B?
Well, this is Alan. I'm not in favor of either option, to be honest with you, while we're discussing it. I think both options are contraindicated to the conservation restriction, and I'm just going to read you the second sentence from it. It says the conservation purpose of this conservation restriction are to prohibit development and residential subdivision, and then more importantly here, to protect and enhance the scenic landscape and open space character of the North Street area. Both of these options are completely contraindicated to that. If we think back to the very close town meeting, and if we were to put in our mind, right, a proposal, right, that we would have gone to the town at that point with 40 parking spaces on that side of the street, I don't think it would have ever passed the town hall vote. I know certainly I would not have voted for it. And I'm someone who went knocking door to door in my neighborhood to try and collect signatures to support this. So I think it's completely contraindicated. Not every lot is suitable for every purpose. And I empathize with the applicant, but this is completely and 100% out of the scope of the second sentence in the conservation restriction.
Okay, do we have any other comments?
I guess in response to Alan's comment, the CR also encourages the growth of an agricultural operation, and this would certainly help the growth of the business. We talked a lot about what would be visible from the road. I think that this might be a solution that would not impose on the view, and I'd be inclined to vote in favor of this, even though there's the CR is subject to interpretation. So you're seeing one thing, I'm seeing another, but I want to see this business succeed, and I think that that's part of our mission with this.
Yeah, but Marcel, if I may respond, I think the CR says to support some agriculture. It does not say optimize the agriculture. And what we're trying to do here is optimize it. And I think we're going to suffer from that trait that's called death by 1,000 cuts, because next year it'll be another expansion. After that, it'll be another expansion. I wish the applicants well, but again, not every parcel is designed for every use. And we are not in the business of trying to optimize this property for the applicant. That's just nothing in the CR says we need to optimize it for agriculture. And that's what we're trying to do here. It's a step to try to keep optimizing this. And I think it's just a wrong property for that and completely contraindicated to the CR.
Can I interject?
I would just like to say something. Again, that there is an envelope here where structures were permitted, and the reason that envelope's on that side of the street is partly because that there were already some structures there, and also because you have the southern side of the frontage gives you the best view, or a very, very good view of the pasture and the hill behind it. So I think there was always some thought that we were going to potentially sacrifice some aesthetics within that envelope for the purpose of an agricultural endeavors. We already allowed a 12-car parking lot by right, essentially, in the CR. We are being asked to expand that, but I would also say that the area that is being used for parking then wouldn't be available to, say, a greenhouse or additional greenhouses. So that's all I want to say. I mean, there was some thought where this envelope was drawn, that it was an area where some development could occur without having an unacceptable impact on the view. That's my interpretation of it anyway.
Do you have other?
But Mike, in your mind, right, when you brought this to the town meeting, was it ever in your mind that you would have a retail operation of this scale and parking for 40 spaces there on the other side? I doubt it. There are plenty of other options on the other side of the road here, including the unrestricted lot. So there are plenty of other options. It's not like this is the only option. But yeah, I have no more to say on the topic.
Do we have other comments or questions?
My comment is on page 5. You're still on the CR. The intent is to wording directly from the CR, page 5, the number 8, second paragraph. The intent is to maintain a viable working farm. I wouldn't argue this is optimizing the farm. This is trying to create a farm that is viable, a working farm. So my question to everyone on the commission is, what is your definition of a viable working farm? I think that whatever anyone.
I'll be happy to answer that. Viable is the minimum, right? And what we're trying to do here is one step towards optimizing, because in the future, as you grow and become more successful, you're going to want other changes. And I think we're going to suffer death by 1,000 cuts, and viable is completely different than optimized. Viable is minimum. That's it. Otherwise, they would have said the goal is to maximize retail agriculture. It would have said that, and it doesn't. It's completely opposite, right? And you have to look at, when you read these legal documents, the purpose up front is the most important piece. All these other things are simply details. And the second sentence in item 1, right, in the purpose, is completely contraindicated to the plans we see here.
So I'll disagree, because viability to me is able to be successful. And a retail operation for a working farm is at the heart of being a successful farm in general.
Yeah, we don't want you to be, running a business on the margins either. It's subject to interpretation, of course, but a viable operation, it can look like a 40 space, parking business. It could be a 500 space, business. And having spoken to Grace a little bit about it, she would love to be approved for 100 spaces, but that's not going to happen. This is probably as much as is going to be allowed.
Right, and I've already expressed to the commission personally through members that we are looking for other land. It is at the forefront of my mind of, if we are to grow the business, and this 40-car parking spot spaces is to serve our current clientele. This is not growing. I know that I'm going to have a bigger problem if we continue to be successful or being successful.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Grace. And I like you and your family, so this is nothing personal, but we need to look at the bigger picture here. And while you are a wonderful steward of this property, once this 40 spot parking lot is there, the next person who buys the property, right? Although we would all love to be on this earth forever, that's not the case. The next person who buys this property may not be a wonderful steward of the property. And then we might have an agricultural business there that is not so great, and some people who are not so great. So it's not just looking this short term, but we have to think 50, 60, 70, 100 years into the future, because this property is protected for forever. And I think these two lots, right, these two options, A and B, are completely contraindicated to what any of the townspeople would have thought. And it just makes the commission and all the people who proposed this look kind of silly. And I think it hurts our chances to protect other property in the future.
Do we have any other questions or comments at this point? We're talking about either the plan A or plan B for the parking lot.
Plan A.
Okay, so Tom, are you making a motion to accept plan A?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, let's do a voice vote for plan A. This is Chris. I abstained because I wasn't at the site visit.
Tom, aye.
Alan, no.
Marcella, aye.
Mike, aye.
David, I abstain as well.
Well, I can just, for the abstainers, well, I don't know if it's appropriate for me to say this, but I do think you can vote if you wanted to, because you've heard all the arguments. The site visit was a posted meeting, but the minutes are available.
Okay, no.
Yeah, so
No,
anyway,
I
just want to. If you want to abstain, anyone, that's cool. But just, I don't feel you absolutely have to from this out. So.
then actually, yeah, and I think I've heard enough arguments too. Thanks, Mike. I reluctantly choose Plan A as well.
Right. Chris, Scott, I would be selecting Plan A. And anything else, anyone else. So the commission has a majority of people present voting for Plan A. Now, do we have anyone voting for Plan B? I don't think.
Oh, go ahead, Chris.
I don't think so because everyone picked Plan A.
Yeah, this is also subject to SVT's approval. This is not a done deal. SVT hasn't discussed it yet, and they won't be discussing it till September. So, this could go the other way too.
Okay. Excellent.
Yeah, and I'll plan to talk with the commission once my stewardship committee has had a chance to review everything and discuss.
Now, Grace, when is the SVT meeting about this?
Kristen, I think it's September 19th, a Monday.
Yep.
Oh, okay, then we should probably put you on for our meeting on the 28th.
Should any of us attend that meeting that SVT is having?
If you would like to, I don't think there'd be any objection. It's nice to hear from our co-holders what their thoughts are.
Chris, do you think it'll be an in-person meeting or a virtual meeting?
I think we're still entirely virtual.
Okay.
So
I just want to. Most people probably already know this, but I am actually on the SCT stewardship committee. I will abstain from voting for this issue.
Okay, so for
Mike,
now,
you're taking back your vote on the motion to accept Plan A.
Oh no, I will abstain from any vote as a member of the SVT stewardship committee.
okay, so on the 28th of September, we have Five Fork Farm on at 7:25. So, any other discussion? Okay, so in the meantime, Grace, would you like a letter for us saying that we, as the majority of the commission, accepted the plan for the parking on the one single level?
Yes, please. And then my next steps, I will go to the planning board and talk with the DPW about what they would like to see in terms of a site plan, engineered plan for this. Kristen, I think that would be helpful for SVT as well.
Yes, that would be helpful.
Okay. We can try to get that done in 3 weeks.
Right. Like the more information you can give us, the better. But we can at least, if you don't have everything you hope you have, that's still okay. We can at least discuss the idea, kind of how it's been discussed tonight.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay, so at this point, we'll continue your discussion for the 28th of September at 7:25.
Great.
And with no other comments, we'll go back to SVT management plan discussion, which was our 7 o'clock, which was postponed till 8 o'clock.
Is Laura on?
I don't think her on.
Okay.
Should we wait for her, Mike?
You know, if we talk about other stuff first, I can try to
Okay.
call her and see
Okay.
what's going on.
Because we did have at 8 o'clock also Troy Butler discussing his proposal for 19 Pearl Street. And Mary, if you want to take the lead on that, please.
Sure. Share my screen. So this is a little bit confusing. There have been 2 orders of conditions on this property. Whoops, wrong screen share, sorry. Okay. Okay, this is the plan for the most recent order of conditions that the commission issued back in November. It shows the wetland delineated here. It shows a replication area to be built here. So that is the recent plan. This is the plan that was done a long time ago. I think, well, this is dated 2015, but I think this is older than that. And these plans are at different scales, so they look a little bit different. But when this was presented last November, the engineers said they redelineated the wetland. They found that the wetland had changed, and it was redelineated. This was the original plan with the replication area. What's interesting is I had actually looked at this site back in 2016 because someone, the other lot 3 was asking for a certificate of compliance. At that time, I could see that a replication area had been completed at this site right here. There were plantings in there. There were also that you could see at that time, and there's a picture from back then. I was able to locate that again now, which you can see in the pictures here, but it's not a successful replication area. I mean, here you can, it's easier to see in the field, but there's about a 1-foot drop here where they had dug it out. The silt fence is still in the woods. This is the tape. So on this side was the replication area. I only found evidence of one of the plants from back then, a winterberry that had survived, but the rest is completely solid, filled in with white pine. I looked at the soil briefly. I did not see that wetland hydrology had been gained. They probably didn't dig it deep enough. They also didn't follow the protocol. There was supposed to be, or at least to our knowledge, there's supposed to be a site inspection when it was originally dug to check the grade. And there was supposed to be reports for 2 growing seasons from a wetland scientist talking about, whether it was a successful replication or not. So my analysis is it was not successful. And I think, when Allen Engineering did their proposal, maybe that was their conclusion too. But anyway, the replication area still needs to be done. Allen Engineering had proposed this replication area, but which it turns out, and I think what I had heard from Dave or from Chris is that, well, that's actually in wetland. So I tried to map this out. So the screen line here shows Allen Engineering's, or I don't know who they hired, but the wetland line that is on that plan that was submitted for this current NOI is this approximately green line approximately. This is the replication area that they propose, which is, if you look at the old plan, within existing wetland. And when I was out on the site now, when I went out there, I was not aware of the Allen Engineering plan. So I wasn't looking closely at this area, but there was royal fern and stuff in this area of the stone wall. So my sense is, and I think Dave was out there and that was probably what he said, well, it's already wetland. So this area most likely is wetland. So the replication area, it may have been done, but it's not working. And so I recommend that instead of it be done there within the wetland, which would be counterproductive, is that you guys do it be done where the old replication area was supposed to go. The only issue with that is, since this is surrounded by wetland, it would have to be accessed through number 17. She has lawn over here and some kind of scrub. It hasn't really been, she hasn't maintained beyond the bounds, but it's like new growth, nothing very big. But permission would have to be obtained from the owner of 17 for this to proceed following that recommendation. Are there any? It's a little confusing, so if there's any questions on that.
Mary, were you able to talk to the owner of 17?
I talked to the owner of 17 about her memories of if the replication had been done, and she says, yes, they did it way back when, but she didn't have any pictures, and I did not ask her about this. I have not asked her about this proposal to see if she's amenable to it. Yeah, just permission would need to be obtained from her.
So
I can
Mary,
talk.
if this was a failure the first time in that area, why would, for me, I'm thinking it will fail again.
Well, if they dig it to the right level, but yeah, that's a viable question. If they get it deep enough, it should be successful.
No, the only reason I bring that up is I've seen some of the replication areas, and most of them, at least the ones I've seen, the older ones, they're not wetlands. There's been no a wetland was not replicated.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure. I don't know enough about this, but I would think something. I don't know what needs to be done, but most of the ones that I've seen just are really not wetlands. They dig stuff out, they throw a few plants in, and then it grows back to pines and whatever. And I'm serious. That's
like what happened here. Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah. Well, the reason for the replication is because the driveway is a wetland crossing, and so there was, disturbance of the wetland, and so it's required under the Wetland Protection Act to do some kind of replication. I did mention to Troy that, but this might require new engineering. I don't know, that potentially it could go on the side here because the driveway is wider than it needs to be at the moment.
Yeah, it's worth noting that on that side of the driveway, there is an easement because the electric company for 21 Pearl Street installed the electric pole box on that side of the driveway. Now, if I could have a moment to speak about this too, I would love to.
Yes, go right ahead, Troy.
So this has been a pretty trying experience. We're about 5 months into the construction. We notified conservation prior to construction beginning. We operated within the order of conditions. We met with Dave, the previous conservation agent for Upton. We walked the property. As Mary mentioned, what was observed then was that we were essentially putting a wetland into another wetland. And what seems to be a topic of debate now was what he told me then and my father then, who was the general contractor, which was that it didn't make sense to put wetlands into a wetlands and that it wouldn't be required in this instance. It was pretty quiet. I went, and I'm not pointing any fingers here, I went close to 8 weeks calling into conservation without hearing back. We had at that time land clearing equipment available on site, ready to do whatever was required. It's obviously no longer there. And as you mentioned, requiring access to go to the neighbor's yard obviously is dependent on her. But it's a lot of work that we're going backwards doing when we tried to do it up front. We installed the swale, we did a catch basin, we surrounded the area with erosion barriers, we left the extra material on site, all according to the order of operations we were ready to execute. and we were told not to, so we didn't. I wasn't in a position to argue, nor did I think I had the authority to. At this point, we're a couple weeks away from moving in, and something that would hold us up from getting a certificate of occupancy would put an enormous hardship on us. I'm currently living with my wife's family in Worcester. We have 6 people in one house, 1 bathroom. I have a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old. We're traveling from Worcester every day to the Upton area to drop them off at daycare. And then I'm working wherever I can find a room that will have me because I work remotely. So any further delay on this would be really, really traumatic to what our family is going through right now. And we've been operating under the pretense that it wouldn't be an issue. And I called many times to try and see if that was the case. At one point I was told there would be a letter that was going to be sent to the engineering company saying that although we didn't operate within the order of conditions, it would satisfy for now to get at least a partial certificate of occupancy because we're waiting on a conservation as-built. As I mentioned, that kind of interpretation of that conversation, I guess, has changed since. And Dave did not feel that was the case. So I'm currently at a deadlock or stalemate, trying to figure out what can be done to get this as-built signed so that I can obtain a certificate of occupancy when we're done. And I know I probably feel a little passionate about this right now, and I apologize for coming off in a negative manner, but I feel like I did everything according to plan, and now we're saying that, you know, the original people might not have did what they were supposed to do, that the engineering plans might not have been accurate. It just seems like I'm at the end of a rope inheriting a bunch of incomplete or incorrect work from others. And that's all I have.
I have a question, and I'm not sure anyone here can answer it. I don't know. I know very little about occupancy permits. Can an occupancy permit be conditioned? I'm sympathetic to your problem, Troy. So I'm wondering if you could be issued an occupancy permit with a condition that the wetland replication area be addressed, you know, within some amount of time, within a year or something like that.
And that is definitely something I would be amenable to. I think with a partial certificate of compliance, it could satisfy. I'm not an authority either, but I think a partial would satisfy it for the as-built, or at least something in writing that would state that I've agreed to perform whatever is required of me within X period of time. I'm happy to do that if it comes down to it, whatever it takes to ensure that we can move in a timely manner.
Well, I have to.
Go ahead, Chris.
I need to interject because I was in the center of all this as well. Because Dave, I communicated with Dave, who said that this had to be looked into. And then I talked to Troy and said that we need to have Mary look at it, and then we can go forward from there. So no letter was issued to Karen Keegan because she was going to do the as-built plan. So I was in the center of that. So I apologize that kind of put you in a tight situation. So with that said, I would think that if we could talk to the building department to get them to, could Karen Keegan still do a as-built plan? Or would that be after the fact?
Yeah, I don't know how the building department here works yet as to when the as-built comes in. And I mean, I think you would want an as-built which shows the wetland replication probably. I mean, what the commission would want for that. But as to whether, or maybe she could show the proposed location or whatever, and then we would have reports from the wetland scientist, which would verify that it had been done. Yeah, I would have to talk to the building department to find out what they need for their occupancy permits.
So would that leave us at a partial?
Yeah, I think we could do a partial certificate of compliance.
Right, and then say that the replication area needs to be completed. And the as-built plan has to be completed. Do any other members of the commission?
I mean, I would support that, but I think we need to. We might have to, express our opinion to the building department that an occupancy permit can be issued while this issue is being worked. And that we have some assurance from the applicant, the owner, that the wetland issue will be resolved within some amount of time. And also, tell you the truth, if we issue a partial, it'll be an issue if the applicant ever wants to sell this house, because you wouldn't want a certificate of compliance, a clean certificate, the next time this property changes hands. So I think we should try to work with Troy and not interfere with his moving into essentially a completed home over this issue.
So if we did a partial certificate of compliance, would that be acceptable? Would that help you, Troy?
I can't speak on behalf of Karen, but I do believe a partial would satisfy the requirement to sign off on the as-built. Again, trust but verify. I can reach out to Karen as early as tomorrow to see if that'll satisfy things on her end, and I can reach out to Mary once I've heard back from her, and we can go from there. I definitely appreciate the flexibility. If it's any assurance, I'm not going anywhere. I've moved a couple times in the past few years. I've transitioned out of the military, and I don't want to do it ever again. So the partial will be satisfied.
Okay, so can we have a motion to issue a partial certificate of compliance for 19 Pearl Street?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, let's do a voice vote. Chris, aye.
Tom, aye.
Alan, aye.
Mike, aye.
Marcella, aye.
Okay, that's a unanimous vote of the members present. So we will get you a partial certificate of compliance, and then we'll look into what the building department needs. And you can look into what Karen Keehan will need. And for the partial, we would state that the replication needs to be completed within a year. Is that good?
Yes, that'll be fine. More than enough.
Okay, and that we need the as-built plan within a year.
Assuming that doesn't hold up anything with certificate of occupancy, that doesn't sound like a problem to me.
Okay, and if it does, please let us know.
I will. Thank you again for your time.
Oh, you're welcome. You can let us know through Mary.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Troy. We appreciate your patience.
Thank you all very much. I, again, appreciate the flexibility and the understanding.
Oh, anytime. And so at this point, we should go back to our ongoing items. So, actually, do we have any minutes to approve?
The only minutes to approve would be if we want to approve the site visit minutes for the Five Forks Farm. And that one I would suggest everyone who wasn't there do abstain from approving those minutes. But
so do a motion to approve the minutes from Five Forks Farm site visit.
So moved.
Do a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, let's do a voice
They are
vote.
wonderful minutes, by the way.
Okay.
They're like your best minutes ever. I really enjoyed reading that.
Chris, I abstain.
That's pretty sad, Marcella.
Tom, aye.
Mike, aye. Sorry.
Marcella, aye.
Alan abstained.
And Dave, did you want to say also? Because right now we have Mike is I, Alan, Tom's an I, Marcel's an I, and then 2 of us are abstaining.
Well, we're the only ones who are actually at the
Right,
meeting,
yeah,
so the
Sandy's
rest of you
not on,
really
so
don't
that's
need to vote.
Okay, so of the members who are there at the site visit, we have a majority vote.
yes.
Okay, so we're okay there. And then any other minutes?
No, I
No.
don't have any others.
Okay, so
Actually, I do have something about the minutes, though. I've gotten from Denise video files for the last meeting, but she does not have video files for the 2 previous meetings. She thinks that someone else may have access to them. So I don't know if that could be Tricia, it could be Bill, I don't know, but so right now, the only way I'm, I or someone else is going to be able to do minutes for those meetings is to review the video. But right now, we don't have access. I don't have access to the video.
So
Denise was able to email me links to several video files for the last meeting, but she does not have video files for the previous couple meetings. So I don't know if that's something, Mary, if that's something you can try to track down.
Sure.
Figure out who has them. What Denise told me was that the person who initiates the meeting is the person who has access to those video files. That person can share them, but Denise can't see who that person is. She doesn't know who that person is. So if that's making any sense.
Yeah.
So if anyone started, yeah.
So
I may have August 11. Is that what one of them you're looking for?
Would August 11 be the last one? I think it was the 2 July meetings, maybe.
Right.
So July 28th and 13th.
Right.
Well, I have 2 things in my Teams account which say recording is ready. I will confirm that in fact there is a recording that I can get to, and if I can, I'll send out a link.
Now, could Kelly have done any of those before she left?
I don't think so, offhand. But thanks, Bill.
So I may have them, and when I have a chance after the meeting, I just want to be sure that it's not smoke and mirrors, that I really do have access.
Okay, and one other thing, just so you know, Denise tried to email me those links just directly, like in an email.
Yep.
And it did not work. What she got the bright idea, and it actually worked, was to put the links in a Word document and then send me the Word document. And it worked. Who the hell knows why?
Do that then. Yeah.
But that's just, you might as well just do that first. If you got the links, put them into a Word document, attach the Word document to an email, and send them out. Thank you.
Sounds good.
Now, at this point, we don't have Kristen on here for our meeting with SVT. So what should we do there, Mike?
I talked to Laura. She's stuck in a meeting. She asked that we review the plan that she submitted, and if there are any questions, that one of us gets back to her with those questions. So yeah, she won't be joining us tonight.
Okay. Do you have the plan that you can show us on the screen, or does Mary have that?
It's part of the packet, so Mary should have it.
Can you guys see it? This is what the management agreement
Yes. I'll say a few things. I gave it a pretty quick read through, and I think I'm good with most of it. And Laura and I talked a little bit earlier today. One of her questions was who signs it for the Conservation Commission. Right now, this draft has Chris signing it. And then I talked a little about Laura, whether or not town council would need to review this. I think Laura has had SVT council review this. I think it still needs to go before her stewardship committee, which would be that group that meets on the 19th. So I kind of would think we might want to have town council review this. And I personally think that Concom could probably sign it, Chris could probably sign it, because the town meeting article gave Conservation Commission basically custody of this property. But that's just my non-town council opinion.
So, Mike, did you want to make a motion that town council would review this before we sign it?
So moved, but if there's so moved, yeah. And if anyone has any comments right now, Laura, I'm sure would appreciate them. But
this is Bill. I was reviewing the budget for the project, and initially we had included $4,000 for a baseline report, and that got taken out. And I just saw this today, so my recollection is that was taken out because SVT was going to pay for it or do it, one or the other. And so the question is whether or not that should be one of the management activities, or it just should be left separate.
Bill, do you want to ask Laura, email Laura and ask?
Yeah, I'll email Laura and Meredith and we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Also, the bottom paragraph refers to Stephen's Farm as conservation land. It isn't.
Stephen's Farm open space. Yeah. Can do that.
So I just take out the conservation land.
What page is that on?
It's the first page, the
Okay.
second to last paragraph, first sentence.
I wonder if you're looking at something, because this one says Stephen's Farm open space version. Marish.
Yeah, well,
what I'm looking at,
it's a little misleading because it starts off by saying directly about conservation land.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yes.
but yes. then it specifically notes that we could take out the Stephen's Farm bit and then, but does it actually abut conservation land?
No, you're right. You're right. That's a good pickup. So the premises directly abuts Stephen's Farm open space owned by the town of Upton. That's probably how it should read. Bill, are you going to get that one too? You might as well get them all in one email to Laura.
Okay.
And would you happen to have a clean copy without the part that I can email to the town council?
This is, I think, the cleanest copy we have. We've got a red line strikeout, but that would drive anyone crazy. So I think this is the cleanest copy we have.
Chris, I can send the
Word
document
version.
just outside the packet.
Okay, thank you. And do we have a motion to have the town council look at this document, please?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, let's do a voice vote. Chris Scott, aye.
Tom, aye.
Alan, aye.
Mike, aye.
Marcella, aye.
Okay, that's a unanimous vote of the members present. And is there any other things we need to change or amend? Okay, so this will be signed after the town council reviews it and after SVT reviews our copy. And do you have any other discussion? Okay, so I'll put this on our meeting for September 28th at 7 o'clock. So hopefully we'll have everything reviewed.
And hopefully I will be reporting to you that the town owns the parcel.
Oh, good. Okay, anything else?
Yes.
Yes.
You need to vote formally to accept the care, custody, and control of a parcel of land located off Mechanic and Fowler Street, Upton, for conservation and passive recreation purposes in perpetuity.
Okay, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Let's do a voice vote. Chris Scott, aye.
Tom, aye.
Alan, aye.
Mike, aye.
Marcella, aye.
Who made the first motion?
Marcella.
Marcella.
I read the text, Marcella
Yeah,
moved it.
Bill has the words.
Okay.
Okay, so it's a unanimous vote of the members present. And so, Bill, would we go to the town hall to sign this?
Yeah, so I have the document, needs to be signed. I'd like to get it completed by the beginning of next week so I can send it to the Katie and she can put together the deed. So I need your signature, Chris.
Okay.
Dave's signature, and he's offered to come in tomorrow morning, and Alan's signature. And Alan, if you're not able to come in, I can come to you over the weekend.
Yeah, Bill, I am racing on Saturday, but happy to meet on Sunday. You know, give me a ring or text, and we'll hook up, and I'll sign.
Works for me. I'll see you on Sunday.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any other business for today?
Chris, do you want to talk about 12 Piccadilly Street?
Oh, yes. Good. Mary, that's a good reminder. 12 Piccadilly Street, the owner has expressed interest in having the town, through the Conservation Commission, take over the care and custody of that property.
Part of that property.
Oh, here it is.
So you'd have to subdivide it.
But what I'm reading into it sounds like the property is either in or close to a wetland, in which case it's protected anyway. I mean, we probably need to do a site visit, but from the description, it makes it seem like.
Yeah, Unimapper displays most of that property as wet. They don't display a vernal pool on it. And I agree with you, Marcella. I think it's protected regardless of who owns it. And if he were to donate it to us, he'd have to subdivide his property. Because right now there's a home on it. And we'd have to subdivide some part of it out for the house and deed the rest of it to the town.
Oh, would we be interested in accepting it? It seems like a small parcel of land that really, I'm not sure it enhances our mission or Yeah. Is it just one more parcel of land we need to keep track of?
Well, would it be completely landlocked? Probably.
No, it does have, I think there'd be some frontage on Piccadilly. The rear is the VFW parcel and probably the town-owned parcel associated with the community center. And then
So
the
there
other
would
side,
be public access?
well, there could be public access, but yeah, and you could get to it from, I think you'd be wading into the wetlands.
Okay.
Could they possibly build on it if they filled part of the wetland and replicate it somewhere else?
You'd have to take, I don't know the answer to that question. It doesn't seem feasible to me just glancing at it, but it seems like it'd be a lot of fill.
Would there be any downfall to accepting it? I mean, is there any, I mean, I'm just wondering, is there any downside to just taking it?
Well, it would take it off the tax rolls.
Yeah, but it wouldn't affect the lot, though. The lot's still going to pay the same
Right.
amount of taxes.
Not quite, but probably not a significant difference, yes.
So if we accepted it and had it placed under the care and custody of the Conservation Commission, that would be, I think, what the owner preferred.
Well, it's already kind of in our care. It's not in our custody.
Yeah, I would suggest we accept it. You never know what can happen to property in the future. If it's under the control and custody of the Conservation Commission, we can be pretty sure it's going to be preserved. And I think this is, if other people come to us with, wanting to give the commission land, which may happen, or preserve land, I don't think we should have set a precedence where we refuse them.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I'm all in favor of, having the land under conservation. I think it's a benefit to the town.
So any other discussion?
I will say that I believe if he gives it, it will require the selectmen to accept it.
Okay, so be it.
I'm just letting you know. If he were to sell it, even for a nominal amount, I think the Conservation Commission could purchase it. It's interesting. They have the right to purchase, but not the right to accept gifts.
Yeah, I'm not looking to purchase it.
Well, we could purchase it for $1 just to make sure that we can accept it in case we're concerned that the select board isn't interested in accepting it as a gift.
Okay, so yeah, I'm for that, but I'm not for paying a sum of money for this. But if he wanted to donate it or whatever, paying $1 to make it legal, I'm all for that. But not for anything other than that.
Okay. So
I think I would rather not kind of have a work around the selectmen. I would rather just propose it to them.
I agree.
It's similar to Pixie's Park several years ago. Small parcel without development potential. And the Board of Selectmen did approve that acquisition. Didn't cost the town anything.
Yeah, the Pixies, I agree. Essentially, I agree. The Pixies parcel probably had more passive recreation opportunity.
That's true.
But the first step is probably to at least have the site visit.
Yeah.
Okay. So would we like to do a site visit for this one?
Sure.
And when would that be?
I'm pretty flexible.
Does someone have a proposed date and time?
Maybe we should find out from this person, just make sure that they're aware that they need to have it subdivided, the property subdivided. That could, there's an expense associated with that. That may affect the desire to donate it.
I think that's a good idea.
Okay. I can contact
You could
him.
reach out to him and also ask him if he would be willing for the commission to do a site visit and
Okay.
A good time for him.
Excellent, Mary.
Do you want to put this in Bill's hands? Because really, it's an open,
Oh, sure.
open
That's
space
fine.
committee type of thing. Bill, you can thank me, Bill, if you want.
Yep. No, I'll give Mr. Davey a call and ask him if he's considered the subdivision need, and then also ask him when a convenient time to do. Ask him for convenient times for us to do a site visit, and I'll bring that back to the commission.
Perfect, Bill. Thank you. And anything else for tonight?
You're on mute, Mike.
Sorry. Just a couple of updates. Rockford Meadows baseline study. I've been told they're gonna mail us their copies of the baseline report next week. Warrenbrook Forestry. I met out there this afternoon or late afternoon with Scott and Greg. And Scott would like Greg to do some work to prep the landing area so it can be seeded. Greg is going to provide a cost estimate for that. We also talked about, and this is something that Marcella, Bill, and I have kind of kicked around, about creating a boulder barrier for the parking lot so people can't drive in there. And Greg was going to give us a separate cost estimate for that. I know Marcella wants to have the parking lot issue on the stewardship agenda next week, which is cool. But I was just wondering if the commission would be willing to give stewardship some funding for this purpose. It'd be better if we could get Greg to do the barrier sooner rather than later. Say before hunting season, before we start having people drive in there. Greg might have a window to do it pretty quickly this month. The prep work for seeding can come later. The seeding can probably occur just before the ground freezes, say sometime in October. So there's more time there. So anyway, Greg will provide us two proposals for this work, and I think I'd like to make. Well, the other thing that's going on here is that I've suggested we maybe put in a gate, maybe a fairly inexpensive gate, so that if need be, emergency services can get in there rather than having a complete boulder barrier to prevent any vehicles from getting in there. Mm-hmm. So I think what I'd like to do is just put this in land stewardship's hand, but also just ask the Concom to fund, say, around $2,000 for this work. I don't think it'll be that much. Matter of fact, I say $1,500. So the motion would be to allow the Land Stewardship Committee to expend up to $1,500 to reestablish the parking area off of Grafton Road for the Warren Brook Conservation Area, and also to potentially install a gate to control access.
Does that include the cost of the gate, you think?
Yeah, the gate's not that. The gate's $150. Posts might be, 75 each.
We might have the posts already anyway.
Yeah. I mean, once I could say 1,600, just be a little safer.
And the boulders, Mike, too?
The boulders are there. They just need to be moved around. And we asked Greg to include in his proposal digging holes for the posts for the potential gate, and also a couple of post holes for the sign that is there. Big, heavy sign that needs to be reestablished.
Yeah, the $1,600 does not include, though, the grading, whatever prep work needs to be done for the.
Right, that would be a separate. That would be a separate proposal.
And that was at the responsibility of the forester or the forest, whatever.
I don't know. I mean, it's not. I think Scott wants, like, there's places where there's like wood chips kind of left.
Yeah.
There, he wants those raked away, so he's got a good soil surface for the seed to contact the soil. That's mostly what I was thinking of. I think just somehow exposing soil in areas where it's not exposed. Sorry about the morons.
Now, Mike, was that 1,500 or 1,600?
You muted yourself.
1,600.
Oh, okay. And where would that come from out of our budget?
The general budget. Although I have something else to talk about in terms of Warren Brook too, but I think it would come out of the general budget. How about that?
Okay. Do a motion to take $1,600 of our general budget to go to land stewardship to complete work on the parking lot at Warren Brook.
So moved.
Okay, let's do a voice vote. Chris, aye.
Tom, aye.
Alan, aye.
David, aye.
Mike, Cooper, and Lulu, aye.
But this is actually for, this is actually for putting the rocks, placing the rocks and digging the
Yes,
holes.
just for the rocks and digging some post holes.
Okay.
He'll bring his backhoe
Okay.
on site. The other thing, Scott has received a bill from Phil Benjamin that we're going to have to pay for his services, and it's like $8,000 according to Scott. So just so you know, that'll be coming, and I mean that will probably have to be paid out of the proceeds from the harvest, I would guess, but we don't have that bill in hand yet.
And that would be great to get the numbers from Ken Casa before we spend that. So I will bother him again. I go through Joe, and it's not gone through very well.
What were the proceeds of the forestry? You remember?
Like 30 grand.
Oh, okay.
Well, I think didn't we pay Phil like $10,000 for the cutting plan?
Yeah, that was, wasn't that subsidized or anything by the state, or was that no, that was the original one from the other guy. Yeah, no, we paid him for the plan, and then we had to pay him to execute it or whatever, work with the logger.
We might not come out. We should come out a little bit ahead, but Scott also said that he's really impressed with how the early Forest Habitat is working out. Tom's seen some interesting birds out there. Scott also saw all the blueberries.
Yeah, thanks for the heads up, Tom, about the blueberries. We had a nice, we got enough for a cake.
Yeah, no, there were quite a few of them.
Wow. So, do we have anything else for tonight? Hearing none, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, let's do a voice vote. Chris, aye.
Tom, aye.
Alan, aye.
David, I.
Mike, aye.
Marcella, aye.
Good night, everybody.
That's a unanimous vote. Have a
Good
good
night.
night. Thank
Good
you,
night.
Mary. Good job tonight.